who have joined so far. And this webinar is all about Marie Curie Postdoctoral Fellowship. And we have Dr. Vicky, and so Dr. Vicky and I will be discussing more about Marie Curie Postdoctoral Fellowship for the call 2026. So now I'm sharing my screen, and this is how we'll be going one by one. So let me share my screen first, then we can discuss more about the fellowship. So is my screen visible to all? Dr.
Yes, it's visible.
Okay, thank you so much for confirming this. So yeah, guys, thank you very much for joining this webinar. So this is our first webinar of Marie Curie Postdoctoral Fellowship, and this was our first post also on our LinkedIn page, ScholarTank. And we got a very good response from all of you, and we have around 40 participants for this webinar today. And let's see how many of you joined today. And if you missed this webinar today, then we are recording this and it will be uploaded on our YouTube channel. So don't worry. We will be sending an email to you containing the link of our YouTube channel very soon. But I would request all of you to please be with us throughout the webinar, because we are going to discuss some very important things in the webinar, and that you might not be focused if you're watching the YouTube video alone. So let's begin this webinar. So today we are going to discuss about Marie Curie Postdoctoral Fellowship here. So now the speakers, talking about myself first. So my name is Mansur Rai, and currently I'm working as an assistant professor at IIT Bangalore in India. And I received Marie Curie Postdoctoral Fellowship recently in 2026 for the call 2025. And I'll be joining the KIIT Germany very soon. I'm waiting for my visa. And for us today, we have Dr. Vicky Nandal, who is also a Marie Curie postdoctoral awardee. And he joined this Marie Curie Fellow as a Marie Curie Fellow in the Institute of Physics, Czech Academy of Science in 2024. And along with that, he is also the chair of Czechia chapter of Marie Curie Alumni Association. So we'll be knowing more about him when he starts speaking about this webinar. So this is the outline of our presentation today. So we will be very briefly, we'll be discussing about what is Marie Curie Postdoctoral Fellowship. Then we will be discussing about the eligibilities, deadlines. So those who are completely new to this topic, Marie Curie Postdoctoral Fellowship, so they will know more about it one by one. So that is why we are discussing these kind of things like what is Marie Curie, eligibilities, deadlines, funding, salaries, and how to find a host supervisor. That is also a very important topic, I believe. And then a very important topic like what was the cutoff for the previous year. That is again very important. And then a very important thing, proposal evaluation criteria. In that, we will be discussing how to write the different sections like excellence, impact, implementation, because they all be carrying 50%, 30%, 20% of the proposal. So we have very good examples. Examples means the comments which are given by the reviewers directly. So we have collected this over the years. We have collected it, and this is what we'll be showing to you guys. And I believe that is going to help a lot if you are planning to write a proposal this year. And then a summary, basically, what are the key elements for a successful proposal, and the common mistakes to avoid, which we should not do while writing or submitting our proposal to the organizing committee, and then some useful links. So let's begin what is Marie Curie Fellowship first. So this is, we all know that this is very highly prestigious European funding grant, which is given to the candidates who have completed their PhD. And it is funded by Horizon Europe. So Horizon Europe has various kind of funding, like European Research Council as well. So there are various funding. One of them is the Marie Curie Postdoctoral Fellowship. And it is designed to enhance the creative and innovative potential of researchers which are holding a PhD and through international, interdisciplinary, and intersectoral mobility. So talking about the number of fellowships per year, so it is around 1,600 fellowships per year. That depends upon the fund. And there are two types of Marie Curie fellowships that we'll be discussing in our upcoming slides. So one is European and the second one is global. And talking about budget every year, so per fellowship, it is around 237,000 euros for the European fellowship I'm talking about, because most of the people apply for the European fellowship only. So that fellowship includes the researcher's salary, research cost, and some overheads which is given to the institute, the host institute. But a very important thing that it will vary as per the CCC. So what is CCC? That we will be discussing in our upcoming slide as well, where we will be discussing funding and salary. So what are the key features of Marie Curie Fellowship? So you will be getting a very good opportunity to carry out your research project of your idea in any of the European countries or any associated countries which are associated with the Horizon Europe. And then during this fellowship, you can develop your scientific skill. You can that skill is also transferable to the non-academic sector as well. And one more thing, like how to disseminate this research result and engaging in communication activities for the general public. So this fund is actually of public money. So you know how to disseminate this result and how your result is going to be very beneficial for the general public. So you have to think about it, and accordingly you have to plan your proposal as well. And during the fellowship, you can build very good connections within the academic and within with the non-academic sector as well. So if your research is very much related to the industry, then definitely during your tenure of as a Marie Curie fellow, you can contact the industry. You can build some very good connections with the industry, because they also look for fellows like Marie Curie fellow. And then there are some fiscal mobility, the possibility of fiscal mobility to another country as well. We can move from one country to another country for getting some information, for getting some knowledge, for doing the research. So these are some key features of the Marie Curie Fellowship. Now we have to discuss what are the different types of Marie Curie Fellowship. So the first one, as I told earlier, the first one is the European Fellowship, and which is very famous because most number of applicants apply for the European Fellowship only. So in this, you will be getting an opportunity to work in an EU member or in an associated country. So apart from the EU member states, there are several associated countries as well. Like Switzerland is there, Norway is there, UK, Egypt, Turkey. So these are the associated countries, and there is a list of associated countries you can go through over the internet and find it. So if you want to apply your Marie Curie fellowship in these countries, you can apply. Okay. And the duration for the Marie Curie fellowship is around 12 to 24 months. It should be in between these two, in between these duration only. And this is for single host organization. It can be academic or it can be non-academic as well. There are possibilities of secondment as well if you are joining an academy. So you can try for 6 months of secondment in an industry where your topic is very much related. But I think you have to declare that in your application as well, because later on after the approval you cannot do that. And then the mobility rule. So mobility rule is also a very important limitation, I would say. So you must not have resided or worked in host country for more than 12 months in last 3 years. Okay. So it means that suppose you are staying in Germany and you are staying in Germany for more than 12 months, and now you want to carry out your Marie Curie proposal, your Marie Curie fellowship in Germany only. So that is not possible. You have to select any other country. It can be from EU member state or it can be from any associated country. So that's a limitation, I would say. So you cannot perform where you have already stayed for more than 12 months. And then talking about grant again, so the grant is around 237,000 euros for 24 months, and that will vary depending on the CCC. So CCC means country correction coefficients, and that I'll be showing in the upcoming slides. So what is country correction coefficient? And the second type of fellowship is global fellowship. And in the global fellowship, there is an outgoing phase in a non-EU or non-AC third country partner. Means you cannot perform your main research into the EU member or the associated country. You have to go out. And then for the 12 months, that is called as the return phase. In that return phase, you can come back and perform your research in your host institution, that may be in EU state or maybe in the associated countries. So that is why the duration for this global fellowship is high. So that is in between 24 to 36 months. So for the ongoing phase can be in between 12 to 24 months, and for the return phase it can be 12 months. And definitely there will be higher visibility because you are going out of the EU. There are many other good universities out of the EU also where you can perform your research, and your visibility will be high because you are working with top global institutes in that case. And definitely the duration is more. That is why grant for the global fellowship is also more. So the budget for the current call, if you talk about the budget for the 2026 call, it is around 339.19 million for the European fellowship, and it is 59.86 million for the global fellowship. The total, it is around 400 million euros for the 2026 call. Now, the eligibility criteria. So you should have a PhD degree at the time of deadline of for the application. Okay, and applicants who have successfully defended their doctoral thesis, but you have not yet formally been awarded. It means you have defended your PhD thesis, but you have only the provisional degree. In that case, also you can apply for the Marie Curie postdoctoral fellowship. Then again, the mobility rule, which I have discussed, that you should not be staying more than 12 months in the last 3 years in the same country where you are planning to apply your fellowship. Then the research experience. So if you have research experience more than 8 years after completing your PhD, then you are not eligible for this fellowship. But that 8 years will not again include your career breaks. Suppose you are going on maternity or any other kind of leave during this 8 years. So that will not be included in the 8 years. So on the basis of that, you can get some benefits. Then comes to the nationality. So there is no limitation. This is open to researchers of any nationality. And third country nationals can apply provided the mobility rule is met. So if we are eligible to meet the mobility rule, then definitely you can apply for this fellowship. There are no limitations in terms of nationality. Host organization, that should be must be a legal entity in an EU member state or horizon associated countries like Switzerland, UK, Norway. Okay. Then supervisor, again, if you are selecting a good host, then your supervisor should also be good, and it must secure commitment of a qualified supervisor with proven capacity to host and mentor. So in the upcoming slide, we will show you how important is your supervisor and his or her skill as well, because your whole proposal should be based on your skill as well as your supervisor skills plus your host institute's facilities as well. If you're writing something in your proposal which is not available at your host institute, or if you're writing something very different from your host, from your supervisor's capability, then again it is going to be a problem for you. So now the funding and salary. I hope many of you, those who are writing at first time, may be wondering what will be the salary for this fellowship. So for this fellowship, per person per month, the living allowance will be around 6185. Then we have mobility allowance, and if you have a family, then you will also get a family allowance of around 660 euro. And they will also provide some institutional unit contribution per person per month. So that is going for research, training, and networking. This cost is around 1,000 euro. For management and indirect contribution, this cost is around 650. So this 1,650 euros will go directly to your host institute. So yeah, country correction coefficient. So this salary will highly depend on your this triple C, because it applies directly on the living allowance. So this is the living allowance which is currently 6185. So suppose you are applying in a country where the this coefficient is 100%. So you will be getting the complete 6185. But suppose you are applying in Czech Republic. So there this coefficient is around 94.1. So you have to multiply the 6185 by 0.94, and this is what you will be getting. So, and in general, you can say this net salary for the Marie Curie postdoctoral fellowship goes around 4,000 euros. So this is a list of country correction coefficients. So you can if you want to apply on the basis of salary only, where the salary will be high for your fellowship. So you can go through this list and you can find out where the salary is more. But in that case, the inflation will also be more in that country. That is why they have come with this term like country correction coefficient. So suppose Czech it is 94.1, for Germany it is 101.2, for Denmark it is even higher. For Ireland, it is around 136.4. So we have, you can go through it if you want to judge, if you want to apply on the basis of salary. Next is, again, an important thing to remember, the timeline. So as you might be aware that the fellowship call for the 2026 has already been started, and that is 9th April. And now in the May to August 2026, you can work on your proposal as much as possible. It's always advisable to start as early as possible, because that is how you are going to read your proposal again and again, and then only there will be chances of success will be more. And then the last date for which is the deadline, that is of 9 September. For this year, it is 9 September 2026. And then between the October to January, your proposal goes for the expert evaluation. And in the second week of February, generally 9th Feb or the 10th Feb, you will get your result on your email. And then you can join as early as May, because it takes some time to prepare the grant agreement from the Horizon Europe. So it generally goes up to April or May. So if you don't require visa, then you can join after May. There are possibilities of joining after May. But if you need a visa, then it may take 2-3 more months. Like in my case, now the grant agreement is completed. I'm waiting for my visa, so I may be joining after 3 to 4 months. So again, how to find a suitable host. So that is very important. Like I told earlier, your host should be matching your skills, like your proposal, whatever you have written in your proposal, that should be closely aligned to your host. And whatever facilities which you require in your proposal, that should be available in your host institute. So one way of finding a suitable host is you can directly email the professors according to your research interest. You can go through the Google, you can go through the Google Scholars, you can find the professors, you can email them, you can tell more about yourself, you can share your CV, you can share your research interest. And that is how you can approach a professor for this fellowship. There are other ways as well. So there are certain professors, certain institutes which publish everywhere, which advertise like we are open for this Marie Curie postdoctoral fellowship, and you can approach us. So that list can be found at Eurasis job portal. Okay, so this is a Eurasis job portal where you can see this find hosting term is there. So there you can go and find how many hosts are available, and if this matches your research interest, you can contact them easily. There is another way, another possibility of contacting the host, that is MSCA matchmaking platform. So if you want to go through this way, you can also try to contact a professor of your research interest using the MSCA matchmaking platform. Now, a very important thing, because this year the number of applicants were very, very high. And that is why the cutoffs for the MSCA postdoctoral fellowship for 2025 call was also very high. So in this slide, we will be discussing that. So you can see this cutoff score for funding. So for engineering, you can see this was 96.8. So I applied in the engineering stream and I scored more than 96.8 this year. This is very high cutoff. And the highest cutoff, I think it was for chemistry, 97.6. So this year for every stream, the cutoff was very high. Why? Because the number of applicants were way too high. So you can see for the European fellowship, the number of applicants was around 16,000. And for the global fellowship, the number of applicants were around 1,200. So total, the number of applicants were around 17,000. So it is very, very high as compared to previous years like 2024 call. So that is why the cutoff was very, very high. So if you are planning to apply for the 2026 call, so then be prepared because there may be more number of applicants which those who are applying for this call as well. So it may cross 17,000 this year as well. So now the success rate also. So as the number of applicants who are more, success rate will decrease because the funding is fixed. They have to give around 1,600 fellowships only. The funding is fixed. So everywhere you can see for the last few years the success rate for the European fellowships. So for 2021 it was around 14, 2022 it was around 8, 17.5. 23 it was around 16, again 24, 17, but 2025 it dipped significantly, and that is around 9.4. That is very, very less because of more applicants applied this year. And talking about the success rate for the global fellowships, so again, it is also very less as compared to last 4 years. So this year, the cutoff was around 13.6%. So you have to prepare well, you have to write your proposal in a very well manner. And that is what we are going to discuss next. And now I would like to ask Dr. Vicky Nandal to please take over, and you can share your screen to discuss more how to write a proposal, what are the writing tips, and more things which you want to discuss. So please share your screen now and stopping.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Imanshu, for your giving all the information, basic information about the fellowship. So now we will more discuss about the how to write a better proposal. So this will be quite intensive. So please be with us. So the first section will be the excellence. Excellence will have like 50% of weightage. So here you have to write down like about your research objectives and your about your ambition and how you're going to do that, like methodology and work plan. And also, which is also very important, like novelty in your work. So it should be novel. It should not be repetitive of someone else. And there will be also chances of a better proposal if you include some interdisciplinary approaches, like connecting different fields, for example, machine learning with your field or something like that. So it has like some positive, or you can say bonus in this fellowship. And the risk analysis, you have to also mention like there are some risks in this proposal and how you're going to deal with that. So you have to mention everything in the excellence part. And the second one is impact, how your research is going to impact the society or impact the scientific research in that field. So it will have like also the career, like how you're going to contribute to the EU research priorities, and also the all of the researcher, like yours career development plan, how it will develop your career if you're going to get this fellowship, how it will transform your current stage to the next like researcher stage, for example. And the next is the dissemination, communication, and exploitation. How you're going to disseminate your results, how you're going to show to the public, because as Himanshu mentioned, like it is this fellowship is using the public money. So you have to like disseminate or for example, publish your work in the open access kind of journals. So which is highly recommended in this fellowship. So which is also has a different point, like open science practices. So as I said, you have to publish in open access journals so that everyone can read it for free. And the next is the implementation part. So how you're going to implement that, like for example, how you have to give proper timeline, how you're going to start your work, and how you're going to do in your span of 2 years. And the quality of your work plan and the milestone, you have to divide, for example, your whole research in 3 work packages, like objectives. Then you have to mention like what milestone you're going to achieve, how you're going to deliver that, deliverables in the form of deliverables. So you have to clearly mention in your proposal in the implementation section. We will discuss like more about like each section and the resources and budget justification, and also about your host organization track record. You have to also mention in one part, like what are the capacity of your host institute. You have to mention everything very clearly. And also the collaboration. If you're going to collaborate with someone else, you have to like mention what research you're going to do with them, with some professor or in some other university. You have to mention that very clearly in the implementation section. So I'll discuss one by one, like writing tips, what you have to take care of while writing. And this section has like 50% of weightage. So you can understand from this fellowship. So this fellowship is not only about science, it is also about the how you're going to implement, how it is going to impact your career. So we have to take care about every single section. So we'll start with the first question. In the excellence part, it asks about like quality of the research like proposal, like whatever you're writing, and the innovation objectives. So in this, you have to mention like first in this section, you have to give some literature review, like why this research which we are going to do is important and what is going to solve and what is the novelty of this proposal. So you have to clearly mention that. And are these objectives measurable and verifiable, and how realistic like achievable these are. So you have to take care of every single thing while writing. So in this also you have to, as I mentioned, you have to take like just 3 research objectives. Don't take more than that. Otherwise it will be seem like you cannot finish in 2 years. So it should be like a minimum number of or like best number of research objectives. So I prefer like 3 research objectives, or you can say work packages in your proposal. And you have to also describe like how your project is going to be beyond the state of the art, and how your proposal is ambitious. It should not look like over ambitious. You have to like think carefully when you're writing these research objectives, like these are achievable. This should be achievable within 2 years. So now I'll show some reports like which we collected from the several successful proposals. So you can see like in every question, like which is asked in the every section, like what are the good points, like a strength, like proposal got, and what are the, for example, weaknesses. So we have to learn from both, like in the excellent part, like for example, in strength, you have to see like what is most important, and as well as in the weakness. So we have to take care when we are writing the proposal, like we should not repeat the same, because we got the these evaluation report from proposals. So we have to learn from it, like what is most important. For example, in the strengths, you can see what they gave, like evaluator gave the comments. For example, the proposal is ambitious, goes beyond the state of the art, which is very important here. And your it should be highly, let me open, yeah. So it should be highly innovative and realistic, which is most important. And the research objectives are laid out in clear and concise way and founded very well in presented background, which should be connected with your literature, whatever you're showing in the excellence part. So objectives are the innovative, relevant, and realistically achievable. And this is the very timely proposal, which I was mentioning. Like you have to, when you're writing down the research objective, it should look like it should be completed within 2 years. So which addresses the important theme in very good and relevant way. The proposal is very ambitious. So some of the comments are repeating because these are the collected from the several proposals, successful proposals and unsuccessful proposals. And the state of the art is very well documented and up to date references. So when you're writing, for example, when you're including the literature survey in the section 1.1, so you have to include like of course from the like citation from the good papers and very recent ones. We do not like use we should not use like 20 years or 10 years old references. So it should look like this research is very new, like very recent and very good journals, like you have to give in the literature review, or for example literature survey in 1.1 when you're writing the excellence part. And now here you can see what are the weaknesses when people like did not get funding from the this fellowship. It's because they did some mistakes. So we have to learn from those mistakes. So the originality and the innovation potential of the proposal is not outlined. So they didn't mention about like what are the innovation and what is the novelty in proposal. So you have to clearly mention, or you can say bold, like novelty thing, like what is important in this proposal, in your proposal. So the proposal lacks a clear identification of measurable criteria for verifying the fulfillment of the objectives. So the proposal seems a bit very ambitious, very over ambitious. So many people got this comments because they they like write a lot of research objectives, which is not like able to, which is quite difficult to achieve within 2 years, because evaluators are like sometimes, because they are like very well established researchers or professors, so when they read your proposal they can get you are able to finish within 2 years or not. So please take care of this when you're writing these sections, so you should not look like over ambitious in some part, and display a certain lack of focus by including a very large variety of different approaches. For example, when I say like you have to include 3 research objectives or work packages, it should be interconnected. It should not be like you are using 3 different objectives, which is not matching, like which is not interconnected, for example, and it is not solving, for example, one problem. So it should be like you should not use like different approaches. You can use different approaches, but you have to connect all the 3 like these research objectives in your proposal. So one of the comment was like the idea are like not structured clearly and concrete enough. Almost every section read like a collection of buzzwords. So now like this is the era of artificial intelligence. People using like ChatGPT or any AI kind of tools to write their proposal, or to for example do some language correction, language change in the proposal. So nowadays, do not use that. If you're using, please carefully like read your text. It should not use such words which is you can clearly see, okay, so this is not written by the someone, it is written by the AI. So they will straight away they will not give you the funding, because if they got to know like you wrote without mentioning about the use of AI in your proposal. So please take care of that. And the proposal doesn't describe in sufficient detail and the degree of innovation, and numerous high-ranking group worldwide pursue similar approaches in the field. So as I said, you should not repeat someone else's work. It should be some innovative, some novelty. So you have to take care of that as well. So the state of the art is not convincing. So you have to clearly mention by bold, doing the bold the text, like what is the state of art in your proposal. So now the 1.2 section like of the excellence is soundness of your proposal methodology. You have to explain if you're using any interdisciplinary approach, which is very useful, like helpful in the proposal if you're connecting different fields, and also the gender dimension and the other diversity aspects if they're relevant for the research proposal. And one of the also very important point is the open science practices. So in this, you have to mention your all work packages like in very clear way, like 1, 2, 3, whatever you are taking. Like you can write down very clearly your methodology. Then integration of integration of methods and disciplines. If you are using, for example, machine learning, computer science, or you can say material science or chemistry, you have to clearly mention if it is interdisciplinary project. And the gender dimension, if it is relevant to one specific dimension, one specific gender, so you have to mention. Otherwise, you have to again mention in your proposal like it is not biased towards any one gender. So you can just write down if it is not related to any single gender, you just write down in one line like this is not relevant to any single gender. It is the same for all the genders, for example. And again, the open science practices. So you have to clearly mention like with the same heading, like open science practices, you are following that, and you are going to publish your work in open access journals. It is highly recommendable. As we already mentioned, this is like public money. So we have to publish our research, which is free for all. So everyone can read that without paying any subscription or buying some issue in the that journal. So if you are, for example, if you have some data, like after publishing, you also have to open that data using, for example, if you have some codes, you can put it on GitHub or Zenodo like repositories so you have to mention these names very specifically. You are going to publish these papers in these journals, and also after publication, your codes, if you're using some machine learning, or if you have like some data, your data will be open after publication in those repositories. You have to mention those names. So again, the example of evaluation reports. So in this, so as I mentioned in the above, so they have mentioned everything very clearly. For example, I can show only a few examples because it will be otherwise it will take a lot of time. So the proposal employs relevant techniques and method from interdisciplinary field. So they, like in this proposal, they mentioned very clearly like how it is connected with different fields, and the gender dimension, other diversity aspects are very well identified. For example, if you think your research is not related to any gender, so if you are missing this point, they may deduct your, like for example, 1% or 2% in that section. So you have to write down very clearly. If doesn't matter it is related or not, you have to write it down in your proposal. And also the proposed open science practices, mention that. And again, this is also the same comment. And again, the weaknesses from some proposal which were not funded. So the proposal methodology is supported by previous work of the researcher. So there is no something new, like, so it lacks some of the information on the concrete method to be used, which is, so you have to learn something new from your supervisor as well. So when you are writing proposal, it should not be exactly same or like similar type, whatever you did in your PhD. So you have to like discuss with your supervisor. You have to like give some points, like you're going to get these kind of training, which you don't have right now. So you have to clearly mention that. So the proposal fails to fully justify the value of interviews and questionnaires for the research. For example, how you're going to representability, like how you're going to achieve that. So the proposal insufficiently address how specific concept and assumption from the different discipline. So if you are saying it is interdisciplinary and they did not mention, so this is also like a negative point. If you're using that, please clarify very clearly. So in some proposal, for example, sixth one, there was a comment like open science practices are not sufficiently clarified. So they did not mention about open science practices. So there they reduce some like percentage, like some points in their proposal. So as I said, always mention like in bold if you are using these practices. So 1.3 is the quality of the supervision, training, and two-way knowledge transfer. So this part, like some of this part will be written by your supervisor, which you are going to contact. So like what is the supervision? They will write everything about their qualification, experience, how many PhD they have, how many postdoc they have, whatever the funding they have, what are the collaboration. So they will write it down for you. And the next part, you have to write it down like training, what training you are going to get, like new trainings, which you don't have right now, the expertise, or we can say. So you have to clearly mention like what are the training you're going to get. And the third one is the two-way knowledge transfer. So between the host and researcher. So when you are like finding the host, please make sure you are going to get something new. You're going to learn something new, and the vice versa as well. Your supervisor will also get something new from you as well. So in this section, you have to clearly mention like two-way knowledge transfer. First, from the researcher to the host. So what your host institute, or for example, your supervisor group, what you are going to like give from your end, what they're going to learn from you. And as well as in the second point, you have to mention like what you will learn from the host to like a researcher. So you like if you're going to learn something new machines, for example, some new techniques, so you have to clearly mention that like we are going to learn these new two-way knowledge transfer from both sides. For the European, it's like two-way knowledge transfer. For the global, you have to write down for if you're applying for global one, because you have like one more year. So you have to write it down three-way knowledge transfer between researcher, host, or organization, and the associated partner for the outgoing phase. And this is the non-academic placement. In the 2 year of fellowship, you can also get 6 months extra if you are collaborating with some industry, but you have to get the letter of commitment from them. So basically your fellowship will be 2 years and 6 months. So it will be extra fellowship, but it should be justified how it is relating with your, for example, your ongoing research or your proposal, for example. So there are like some evaluation boards. So in this section, some people, they didn't mention about the like detail about the, for example, the two-way knowledge transfer. Like, for example, if you can see fifth one, the two-way knowledge transfer of between the researcher. This is the like strength one. So they gave all this information. If you see the weakness one, fifth one, you can see like the two-way knowledge transfer is not described and well with the sufficient details. So the training activities are general and vague. So there was no concrete information about the two-way knowledge transfer. So they they point it out. And the host supervisor experiences research in research supervision, and frequently like modality of the supervision are not sufficiently detailed. If your supervisor has some experience, and if you are not mentioning in that, that will also have a negative impact on your proposal. So when you are writing this part, so you you have to discuss with your supervisor number of students or like whatever they have, even their past fundings, everything you have to clearly mention, for example, in a half A4 page. So the next one is the 1.4 is the quality and appropriateness of the researcher professional experience. So you have to write everything about you. You have to summarize your professional experience, whatever you did in bachelor's, master's, PhD, everything you have to clearly mention why you end up with this proposal or in this field, for example. So summarize that and explain what about your scientific background, why it is unique, and what training you are going to get, which will impact your career. So, for example, how you have excellent potential and you are perfectly able to carry out this proposal, like which you are going to give. And what are you demonstrate how your this transferable skill, for example, if you have something leadership skill, you have to clearly mention that. If you have like independent thinking, if you ever for example, guided any masters or any bachelor student, you just mention that, like in your PhD, I guided a co-supervisor, co-guided with my supervisor, master's or bachelor project, something like that. So it will have very positive impact on your proposal. So there are like evaluation reports in this. So in this strength one, the researcher has received research funding and including a PhD scholarship. So they mentioned about these, if they are like, for example, if you have if you're working in India, like you are doing a PhD in India, if you have Prime Minister Fellowship, you can write it down in bold, like, okay, I had this fellowship. If you are getting funding from the MHRD, mention the about that very clearly, or any international funding or travel fund, clearly mention that. It will have very positive impact on your this for example, on this question, like on quality. And the researcher CV is very competitive, high quality, high impact publication. You have to mention that as well. And if you have like any like non-academic placement, you can clearly mention like why it is important in your proposal. Now we'll see like what are the weaknesses from some proposals. So some aspects of the proposed research fall outside the researcher's current experience. So that what like Dr. Himanshu also mentioned. So when you are writing this, it should not match exactly like 100% with your research. Otherwise, you will not going to learn something new, or your supervisor will not learn something from you. So you have to and it should not be completely different from your current research. So you have to find like in between some like with your supervisor after discussing with them. So you have to write your proposal which should match with your like previous research as well, and including the new training which you are going to get in the Marie Curie Postdoctoral Fellowship. So one of the point was like one of the comment was the researcher peer reviewed publication record, one article published and one under review is low for this current stage. So sometimes people ask like how many number of papers are required to get this fellowship. So it is highly dependent actually. If you have like 2-3 papers minimum, it's fine. I mean, you should apply for it. But sometimes if some reviewer, they may check, okay, if someone should have like 4 or 5 papers or 6 papers or 10 papers, but there is no clearly they stated somewhere about this, like, so there is no record or like recorded thing like what are the exact number of publication. But one of the guy, he got this comment like he or she has just one publication. So they pointed out and they told like it is a lack of the which is not sufficiently sufficient for this proposed proposal. So the administrative and leadership experience and skill of the researcher appears to be overstated if you write something more. So if you did something for example, leadership activities or administrative activities, mention only those. It should they may check or somewhere on websites or where it is mentioned. If, for example, if you are a representative of a student affair council in institute, and there it should have like somewhere, right? But no need to give like any proof, but mention only which you already have worked on it. So clearly mention that, do not like overstate. And the supervisor, the researcher is not adequately describe even the large number of expert at the host and the secondment involved. And the plan for the supervisor meeting to create and monitor progress. So you have to clearly mention when you are writing career development plan, or like how you're going to meet with your supervisor in this during your fellowship. You have to mention like you are going to meet every 2 weeks or 3 weeks for discuss the progress of your proposal. I mean, after getting the proposal. So you have to mention this as well. So now we move to writing part, which is the impact section. So impact section, it has like 30% of weightage. So the credibility and measures to enhance the career perspective and employability of the researcher and contribution to his or her skill developments. So this research, I mean, this proposal is not only about, as I already mentioned, not only about the excellence, how excellent is a proposal. You have to also mention like how it is going to impact your career. So you have to specify how it is going to enhance. If you just finish your PhD, you have to mention like you are going to, if you get this fellowship, it will impact your career in this field. If you're going to academia or some industries, you have to clearly state that, like one point, like it will help me to get some tenure track position in academia or some researcher or scientist position in some industry. So the expected contribution of proposed skill. So whatever skill you are getting new, like new skills in the at the host institute, you have to mention like how those skills will going to help you in future career, like development, for example. So in this strength, so it is almost similar. Some did not mention. If you see in weaknesses, I'm not going to read all. So I'll like focus on some of the weaknesses. It is not sufficiently clear how the proposal will contribute to the professional maturity or as an independent researcher. So you have to mention that very clearly. The researcher has several years of experience as a postdoctoral fellow in some research related field. The measure to enhance career perspective has been generically and superficially described. So they did not describe like how it is going to impact their career. So you clearly mention that in this impact section, how it is going to impact. And the next one is the suitability and quality of the measures to maximize your expected outcome, whichever you're giving in the proposal. So how it is going to impact, and how you're going to set out in the dissemination and exploitation plan, for example, communication activities. So in this section, you have to mention like how you're going to disseminate your results. For example, when you're writing, okay, I'm going to attend some conference. Sometimes people write, okay, I'm going to attend 2 conferences, but they did not mention like which conferences. If you're applying in 2026, you have to write down, explicitly name the conference. For example, if you're working in material science, you can give, okay, I'm going to attend the MRS or TMS 2027 in US or in Europe or something like that. You have to clearly mention the names of the conferences. If you are giving, okay, I'm going to publish 3 papers, you just explicitly name them. You don't need to publish exactly in the same journals, but you have in the proposal you have to mention that, like and don't mention like 5-6 journals. Just mention 3 journals which should be like ambitious. It should not look like over ambitious. For example, if someone write, okay, I'll publish in science in 2 years, like a first author paper, it will be quite I'm not saying it is not possible, but it is quite difficult to do like that research in 2 years. But someone can do it, that's good. But explicitly mention those names. And if you're going to attend some workshop you just mention their name. If names are not there, then in that case you can mention, okay, some like workshop related to this training in US or in India or in Europe, you can mention that. And also the book chapters or something like social media, like after getting those results, you will going to like post on LinkedIn, share with your in your university, like that. So clearly mention that as well. You can also write down all these things in the form of table, like about the about the like conferences, publication, workshops, all in the table format. That looks better. So the strategy for management of intellectual property, if you're planning some intellectual property through this fellowship, so you have to write down in 2-3 lines, like if you are getting this intellectual property or some patent, so that will be under the this Marie Curie and your host institution. So there are like some evaluation reports. In some strength will be same, which I already mentioned, like you have to take care about all those things very carefully, but you can learn from some weaknesses of some proposals. So the quantified estimation in terms of magnitude and importance of the proposal's contribution to expected outcome and impact have not been sufficiently cleared. So they did not clearly mention the proposal contribution, for example, and what will be the expected outcomes like papers and all. So the targeted journal for the planned publication are not convincingly identified. So they may give like more like very high impact journals maybe, which is not possible to publish within 2 years. So they highlighted that. So the proposal doesn't address in sufficient detail dissemination of the project result to industry and application community. So that is always good to have in the table format. So someone like evaluator can easily read that, like what you're going to do, exploit your results with the public or dissemination your result in some publication or workshops. So 2.3 will be the magnitude and importance of the project contribution to the expected scientific, social, and economic impact. So you have to do like give 3 headings, like how your project is going to impact scientifically, socially, and economically to some country or worldwide. So you have to mention that as well. So in the evaluation reports, I'll point it out the weakness first, and you can read it this later in the like the video which we will share. The proposal lacks a clear identification of research contribution to the scientific and economic areas. And moreover, the impact beyond the immediate scope of the proposal is not convincing, because they did not mention maybe all 3 headings. They did not mention all together. They may give like just a few lines about it. So when you're writing, as I mentioned, clearly mention 3 headings and write down all the impacts. So the researcher doesn't sufficiently address the expected scientific impact beyond the immediate scope of the proposal, like just after finishing, how it is going to impact the scientific or like community, or so they did not mention that as well, so that they like reviewer pointed out. So take care of these points while writing. And now the last section, I know it is taking a lot of time, because we just want to give like detailed how you can get this funding, or which point you have to take care. So yeah, please be with us. This is the last section, implementation section, which has 20% weightage, and how you're going to implement. So first will be 3.1 will be the quality and effectiveness of the work plan, assessment of risk and appropriateness of the effort assigned to work packages. So as you had, like, for example, 3 work packages, and you have to briefly present like overall structure of your work plan, include deliverables and milestone. So your research work packages just should be 3. Then you can also divide, like you can make 2 more work packages. One can be the deliverables and the milestones, but the research related should be 3, not more than 3. This is my personal opinion. Someone can have 4 if they justified it. So the timing of the different work packages, it is not recommended to have more than 6 work packages. Sometimes people write, okay, you can write 5 work packages, but you have to justify if your work package should not be over ambitious or not timely. So it should be like it should be finished within 2 years of span if you are applying for European fellowship. So it is not recommended to have more than 2-3 work packages. So they gave like these can run subsequently or concurrently, and should be interconnected. And all these work packages should be interconnected, and you have to justify how it is connected, like all work packages, and ensure they are in line with the detail provided earlier in research objective and methodology, whichever you mentioned in the excellence part, mention that. and the mechanism in the place to assess and mitigation risk. You also have to mention, because whenever we are writing some proposal, we have to give some limitation as well. Like, these will be the risk. Something will happen to, if I'm using some machine for my experiments, I have to clearly mention, okay, if something happened to this machine, I will do this experiment at some other place. So you have to mention that lab very carefully, like in the mitigation or in this risk section. So you have to make the table, and you can make the table, and you can give all kind of like risk. For example, it can be research related as well as administrative related. For example, if something happened to in your lab, so where are you going to go after that? Maybe in some other department or like that. You can mention those risks. Don't write too many risks, like 4 to 5 risks are risks in 2 years are like more than sufficient, but it should be well justified. And this is also very important to see the how you're going to effectively work on your proposal. So the Gantt chart is very important. So I can show you the example of Gantt chart, how you can make it. So this example is for the global one. So you can make for 2 years. Just mention like your 3 work packages research related, and or more 2 for deliverables and milestones like that. If you have secondment, you can make one for secondment as well. So this is also very important. And when you're writing these, please make sure it should not overlap. If it is overlapping, so it should be interconnected. Like you should not write, okay, in the same month, I am going to do 3 research objectives altogether. So this is the evaluation report, strength and as well as weakness. So I'll discuss about the weakness, because in strength you already got from the previous slide. So in the like some of the deliverables and milestones are not sufficiently explained in the proposal. So make sure when you are writing all the deliverable and milestone of every work packages, you have to mention for every work packages. The work plan lacks sufficient detail, and time scale and person month allocated are unclear. So you have to also mention so I'm going to do this work packages in this month, and after that, like if something is related to, like for example, some milestone is related, you have to just place it just after that in the Gantt chart. So this is the last one, quality and capacity of the host institute and participating organization. So this will be given by your host institute or maybe your supervisor, whatever machines or whatever infrastructure they have. So they have to give you. So you just no need to do anything in that. You just like rewrite it, but they will give information about the host arrangement and including the integration team. If your supervisor has some team, so you have to mention, okay, so you're going to guide some of the students, like masters or PhD students as a training part, and support available. And if you're going to use some softwares, you have to mention, okay, so this software will be provided by the host institute, or if they already have some license, so you can mention that as well. So in this, there is not much to discuss about, because this is given by the host institute. But yeah, but again, you have to take care when you got that section from your host institute. You have to just take care, see that like everything is included in that. For example, in the weakness, the insufficient detailed information is offered on the infrastructure and equipment. Which equipment you are going to use? Is that equipment is available in the host institute or not? So they will give you all this information, and you just recheck it and like write it as per your proposal, which you're going to use, I mean, in your work. So this is all about the how to write a better proposal. I can say if you write it better, you can get the funding. And these are some key elements of successful proposal. Read the work plan and call guide cover to cover, like read it very carefully and prepare your proposal based on that. And start finding a supervisor. It's already like 4 months left. So if you already got some supervisor or contacted, I hope you already started. If not, you still have time. So you can like contact some supervisor, as Dr. Himanshu also mentioned, like how to find from that website. You can talk to them and start writing if you didn't start till now. And write the excellence part section first, because it is mainly related to research, which will take a lot of time. But after that, it will not take much time, because it's not about research. It will about implementation and impact. But that is also very, very important. But in my opinion, you have to write down the excellence section first, then you can write it down other two sections. So evaluators may not be the specialists, so don't write very technical terms. So if you're writing something, you can explain it a bit, and then you can write it down very clearly so that non-expert also can understand, okay, so you're going to this. So at least, especially in the excellence 1.1, when you're writing the literature survey, so you should use the very like clear concepts in that, like why it is important, and very clearly, so that non-expert can read that and understand that. And quantify your past achievements, such as publication, grant, citation, impact factors. So you can include when you are writing this in the part B2, like with the CV1. So right now we are discussing about part B1, which is excellent impact and implementation. So make the mobility dimension explicit. Explain why this host and why now. So it should be connected with your career development plan. Why you want to apply this fellowship now. It should be justified. So demonstrate a personal complementarity, and with like what you bring to the host, it is related to the two-way knowledge transfer, which is very important. Include the realistic Gantt chart and the clear risk and mitigation table. Don't don't take it as a light way. So this is very important, Gantt chart, and this risk, especially risk as well. Ask for the feedback from the previous MSCA evaluator or successful applicants. So it happens when we write something, maybe some paper or proposal, because we read it a lot of time. So it takes some time. We are not able connected with them, if you're connected with them. So, and some of your friends in the similar field, so they can read it and give you about the feedback. And submit at least 48 hours early, as the deadline is 9th of September, because sometime it is maybe a lot of traffic that time. So you can submit means you can upload your proposal on the on the portal, that you can submit the other file if you are changing something after that. So you can do this, and after that you can submit finally automatically, or it can be automatically after near the deadline. So these are the common mistakes to avoid. Objective, I already mentioned about these, like it shouldn't be unmeasurable or non-achievable. So make sure when you're writing this, so these are the top reason of rejection of the proposal. So this should be, your objective should be broad. I mean, broad means very like novelty. It should have some novelty. And failing to clearly define what is known and unknown. So you have to clearly mention what you are going to do, what are the knowledge gaps, and what are the, for example, state of the art, and apply to the host. This is already, mobility room, and the career plan. So you have like about attending workshop without specific mention about the names. So mentioned, which we already covered. And focusing only on publication, evaluator want to see like what is impact. Some people just mention, okay, I'm going to publish 3 or 4 papers, but they don't take care about the how it is going to impact, like economically or socially or something like that. So you have, that is also very important in this funding, especially. So over ambitious timelines, no risk analysis. So you have to take care when you're writing the proposal. So poor supervision fit. So it should be perfectly fit with your research background. And the late submission. This is almost same, which I mentioned. Do it on time, before the deadline. Few more common mistakes. So these, I think, we almost covered. And for example, if you're applying for global fellowship or some from some industry, like some secondment, some people don't upload the letter of commitment, so they straight away reject your proposal. So you have to upload that. And yeah, when you're writing this proposal, it may exceed the page numbers, especially in B1 part, because it has like 10 pages limit. And some people do, okay, so I will, if they are like ending up with 11 pages, so they will reduce the size. So there is like proper criteria for that. Your page, the size should not be more than like less than 11. So it should be readable. So take care about that, as well as the page limit. user for proper font, and it should not be smaller than the allow. So there are like some useful links, so you can get more information about it. And so we will also share these links with you through like in that email. So thank you so much for this. If you have any questions, you can ask us. Yeah, Dr. Himanshu, now you can take over.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Vicky. And the presentation was very informative, I would say. It was very great, like how you have told each and everything very carefully, and you have brought the actual real examples of reviewers' comment. That's amazing. I think all of our participants are going to get benefited from this. And one more thing, like I would say a few more things about Dr. Vicky once again. Like he he has a very good experience of guiding for the Marie Curie, especially for the Marie Curie postdoctoral fellowship, and he has guided more than 100 participants, more than 100 applicants for last 2 years, and many of them have got succeeded, and I am one of the examples. And when I was writing this proposal, I took help from Dr. Vicky, and he guided me. And apart from technical, he guided me in the impact section, the implementation section, because these are going to be a major part of your fellowship. 30%, 20%. So 50% is going to be going to cover, apart. So if you think that your technical section is very, very important, but still, if your impact section or implementation section is not very good, so you are not going to get this funding. So this is what actually he guided me, he suggested me when I was writing this proposal. So thank you so much. And so this is the end of this webinar. And
we can take Dr. Himanshu. First of all, thank you very much for your kind words. So we have some questions. We can like read them and tell them like what are like we can respond to them. So Satish Kumar, he asked like MSc postdoctoral fellowship do not have minimum publication requirement. That's true. What publication record would you consider competitive for a successful applicant? For example, how important are the number of publication, first author papers, and citation matrices? In my view, or in my opinion, if you have published like more than 2 papers in your PhD, I think you can go ahead with this. And if all of the papers are like under review, then I'll say like wait for 1 more year. When you have like more than 2 first author paper, then I think it's like quite good, and it should be like good journals. Like that is very important. Like your research should be published in like very competitive journals. So there is no requirement. So our answer will be no, there is no requirement. So if you have more than 2 papers, just go ahead with this.
Yeah, exactly. I have also seen one of my friends for the Marie Curie Fellowship, and he was having around 4 papers, and out of 4, I think 2 were the first author only. So I think there is no limit for the papers, for the articles or the review paper, whatever you have published. I think you should go ahead and try. So your proposal should be very good.
And Abhinav Sharma is also have same question. So he has like 4 first author papers. So that is completely fine. If those papers are like in good journals, then this is good for you can apply for the MSCA.
And also, one more thing I would like to add here, like if you have 4 papers as a first author in a good journal, but it should be very relatable to your proposal also. Okay, if you are writing a proposal which is not anyhow relating your previous work or your previous skill, then it is going to be a difficult opportunity for you. Okay, so it should be related with what you have done so far and what you are going to do. Both should be interrelated to each other.
Okay. So we have one more question, like from Deep Shankar. Can we write a proposal in collaboration with IITs or NITs in India and come for the proposed work? As in this proposal, I mean in this fellowship, we have a funding of €1,000 per month. So you can use it to visit any lab anywhere in the world. It can be India, it can be US, Europe, anywhere. Like you can go to that lab, and it should be like you have to discuss with your supervisor, like your host supervisor. And then if he agrees with that, you can go to any IIT for collaboration, even more than 1 month or 2 months without adding any secondment. That is completely fine. And also he asked like Satish asked like, can we mention the under review paper? Yeah, you can mention the under review papers, but not in the proposal, in the section B2 part where you are writing about your CV. So you can mention about the under review papers. That is completely fine.
Yeah. So
And
part B2, sorry to interrupt you. Part B2 of this fellowship has no limitation of number of papers. So it is all about your CV. So you can write how many numbers of paper you have published under review, and so many things you can write there. There are no limitation for the page.
And
Yeah.
there is one last question from other people can write any question if you have. So the last question is like, does citation count also matters when while applying? No, I will say no, it doesn't matter, because I never saw this comment in any proposal, like because of citation they are like not funding the proposal. So if you have two papers, that should be in good journal. So that is the most important. So go ahead with the application, and also you can connect with us if you need any like suggestions in future, like after when you have like your proposal ready, you can discuss with us.
So Ayush Avasthi has one more question. Also, is there any specific format, as the supervisor shared me the old successful proposals, which was fixed to 5 pages, and he told me to stick to that. So the proposal limit, I think, is 10 pages. For the B1 part, it is 10 pages. So you can go up to 10 pages considering the excellence, impact, and the implementation. So there is no limit of 5 pages, but definitely you have to follow the format which is given at the website of the organizing committee of Marie Curie.
This 5 pages limit is for part B2 where you mentioned about your CV. So that has 5 page limit, but the part B1, excellence, implementation, and impact, it has 10 page limit. Yeah. So there is one more question about from the Shankar. How about the translatory startup, which was my PhD work, and I hold a director position? Will there be any legal issue? We are not sure about it because we never like see such. We never saw such case. So you can discuss with your host supervisor, will say, or maybe someone in grant office in your any institute where you are going to apply. So they may have a better answer to this. We are sorry, we don't have such example till now.
So it is going to be a full-time fellowship for you. So you have to be there. Okay, it's not going to be a part-time. So I think in that
So
case, you cannot do this fellowship as a part-time. So you have to be there full-time present. In that case, you can discuss this, I think, in the grant office of your host institute.
yes.
Again,
Thanks.
Satish Kumar has written, sir, what about review article? We can mention, definitely you can mention in the part B2 of your CV of this proposal.
Yes. So in also we also want to share one thing, like in future we will have like more detailed webinar on proposal writing. So today I mentioned, because of the time limit, I mentioned about mainly like some key points, but it also has like more detailed structure. So we will have like more webinars or like in future. So you can like follow the page on LinkedIn. So you will be get informed, and we will also email on with the same people which already joined today. So if they're interested, they can also join those upcoming webinars. So I hope these will be very helpful. Thank you so much for your comments. So these things will be very helpful for you people, because when we applied for the first time, so we didn't find any webinar, like especially in my case, I didn't know anyone who is like a successful applicant. I didn't know anyone. So for me, it was quite difficult that time, and LinkedIn was also not that active, because nowadays this is quite active. So that time it was quite difficult, but nowadays we have, I mean, a lot of webinars or different, you can talk to different people or successful applicants, like what things you need to take care while writing the proposal. So please go ahead with the proposal writing. If you have finalized the host supervisor, then it's good. If you didn't like finalize the supervisor, just go through the link which we already gave you. You just go talk to them, or directly email any professor relevant to your research field. Go ahead, must try. And also I want to highlight one more thing, because this fellowship it's not like that I finished my PhD just now, I'll be only relying on Marie Curie postdoctoral fellowship. No, this will take 1 year. If, for example, now this call is open, the deadline is of 9th of September, and after this after submission, the result will be coming up in February in 27, and you will start the fellowship in, for example, May or June 2027. So you cannot be like just waiting for the Marie Curie Fellowship result. So meanwhile, if you have completed your PhD, finished your PhD right now, so keep applying for other open positions as well. And meanwhile, you can give time, like a lot of time on the this proposal. So just don't rely on your Marie Curie postdoctoral fellowship, because it will take, as I said, it will take more than 1 year from now. So keep applying for open positions and apply for this as well. Yeah, this is from everything from my side.
Okay, okay, yeah. So thank you so much, Dr. Vicky. So one more thing which I would like to add here. So I hope every one of you has followed our LinkedIn page, and if not, then please go and follow this ScholarTank, because we are going to come with such more webinars in the future, and most probably next week itself, Saturday or Sunday, we will have another webinar with another Marie Curie postdoctoral fellowship awardee, and he has recently joined this Imperial College London. So he has also a very good experience, postdoctoral experience, and so he will be sharing some useful information in the upcoming webinar as well. So for that, please join us and be with us on the LinkedIn. So far, at least we are present on LinkedIn, so you can message us on LinkedIn as well. And if you have any doubt on if you want to do one-to-one session, or if you want us to review your proposal, then definitely we are up, and you can email us. Our email ID, I hope all of you has our email ID, because you all have received email from us. So you can email us definitely, and we'll try to help you as much as possible. And I hope we don't have any more questions now, so we can end this webinar here. And thank you very much, because this was our first webinar and we did not post much. Only one post was there on our LinkedIn page, and we got around 45 entries, out of which I think 25 attended this webinar as well. So this is a very great response for us. So thank you, everyone. And Dr. Vicky, if you'd like to close this webinar, do you have any closing remarks?
Yeah. So thank you so much for joining, because I think everyone spent around 1.5 hour right now. So thank you so much. So we are happy to see the response from you all. So we wish you all the very best for this fellowship if you're applying for this. And I just want to say, just must apply for this. So if you are not succeeded this time, you should try again, because we have many examples where people got it for first time. Like me, I got in the first application when I applied for the first time during my first postdoc. How about like Himanshu also mentioned, like what was his experience like when he applied for the first time?
Yeah, actually, when I applied first time in 2024, then I was having 91%, I think, 91% score. So I was getting check Marie Curie. At that time, I did not take it. So I applied it again this year. So means 2025 fall, and I got the 97%. So that's why it takes two cycles. So if you are not getting in one cycle, then definitely you will have much more chance to enhance your proposal and to get the funding.
Yes. But must try again, like first, like for first time. Then if in case if it is not successful, then you should try again. Yeah. So we'll just want to say this. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah. Thank you so much, everyone.
Yeah. Okay. We can leave now.
Bye. Bye.